Thank you very much for coming, guys. I have one statement, and the statement is that our industry has a big bug. First, let me invite you into your heads, okay? Let's play a game with me, okay? Try to close your eyes and try to imagine your usual working day. You're getting up from the bed, doing all your morning routines, getting on your public transport or on your way to work, entering the building where you work, and going to your place where your laptop is. Now, how many of the things that you have done throughout this small journey did take the full capacity of your brain? How many of the things were automatic for you? How many small talks did you have to have? Did you talk to a lady from next door when you were leaving the house? Did you say hi to people at the reception in your office building? Easy, right? You do it every day, so it's very easy. Now imagine that you wake up. The bed is very similar, but you realize something is different. And what's different is that you woke up in a different country. For example, imagining you woke up in Japan, in a small village in Japan, and now you have to go to work. Do you know how to get there? Do you know how to dress for your work? Do you know if it's okay to talk to people on the street? Do you know it's okay to talk to people on the bus? Is it okay to make a coffee before you start working, or is it something that you should be doing afterwards? And this is exactly how all the autistic talent is actually feeling when they enter your workplaces at the moment. And that's the bug that I'm talking about. And if you believe that autism or neurodiversity doesn't concern you or your teams, then please don't be fooled, okay? Because it does. These are the numbers of the world autistic population. And the numbers are pretty lowered by the fact that there are continents in the world or countries in the world where autism isn't diagnosed well. So the numbers are actually much higher. For example, in the US, when the diagnosis is quite okay, the numbers are around 3% now. So 3% here in Czech Republic, it means like 300,000 people. And what I'm saying is that these people are talents that you are overlooking. People who, and if you consider neurodiversity, meaning all other ways of wired brains, like ADHD, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, dyslexia, whatever, the ways that other neurodiverse brains are made for you, then the numbers are even higher. It's like 20%. So in this room, every fifth, maybe in this room, every fourth of you has got a brain that functions a bit differently than everybody else's. That you process the reality a bit differently than the others, the normal population does. And what I would like to take you for a journey for today is try to imagining that you actually woke up in Japan and how it makes you feel to do the basic routines and basic things that you are doing every day once you are in a country with different ways of behaviors, with different habits, with different things that others are doing. And what's very important, giving you numbers. If you happen to be autistic, the chance that you are being employed within Europe is 22%. So only 22% of autistic people in Europe do have employment. And what I'm saying is they do have the employment not only, like the others, the 78% are not employed not because they want to not to be employed, but because they are actually obstacled by us. They are disabled by us for getting the job, maintaining the jobs, and staying actually in them. To make the numbers even worse, if you were in the US, you were someone who finished his or her university degree. The chance that you would have work is just 15% if you are autistic. So only 15% of people with university degree in the US are actually employed. So the 20% that I'm showing you here is the number of people who are actually they are employed, but the thing is that it's easier to get employment if you are mentally impaired and autistic at the same time than getting a job and keeping a job if you are autistic and you are actually very intelligent. And these are things that I think that you need to keep in mind when we are talking about the industry that we are working in. Because we are losing incredible talent. And how many of you are working in companies looking for talent? How many companies that you are in from are hiring at the moment? Yeah, like basically, wow, not that much. I thought there would be more. But we are overlooking a great talent that we shouldn't be. And that's basically what I'm saying. Because if you look at, I'm not saying that all autistic people have got these features, but they are quite common around, among the autistic population. And if you just look through the list, how many of these things are you actually looking for in your teams? How many things would you like to have on your team? I bet you would like to have quite many. But how many people on the spectrum do you actually have in your teams? Maybe you have a few. I bet you do have, but you probably don't know about them. Because usually they are afraid to show the diagnosis and share the diagnosis, or they also are ashamed because their past experience was that they were being bullied for being different. And that's why I'm trying to make a small change for a small percentage of people, because we are building DiverSite, a new company in which we are trying to put the autistic talent interested in technology, data, with sensible and reasonable work that we have for them, while cleansing data, preparing data for your clever AI models or machine learning, or preparing data analysis for you. And I'm using all the things that you've seen on the slide before to leverage the opportunities and to give the opportunity to the. So far, I've only talked to boys. And they are incredible. They are Python developers who are actually delivering food, because it's easier for them to get the conditions they need for their work to deliver food than to actually do the things they are good at, and that is the development. And I think that's a big shame, and that's what I'm trying to change. And I hope that today you learn a few things. And if you happen to have autistic people on the team, this is a very good text written by my hopefully future colleague. It's in Czech, unfortunately. He didn't allow me to translate it into English with AI, so it's only in Czech. But it's a very good text written from autistic voice about his everyday experiences. So if you have someone on the team, this is a very good text that I can recommend. And now, what I would like to do in the next 20 minutes is to just clear what you know about autism and try to change the system we are working in, because I believe it's not, as you've seen, it's not the fault of the autistic people themselves. It's a system that doesn't create enough opportunities for them. And I would love it to be, if this number of people in this room, if we can make a small change, every single one of us, then we can drive the big change that might be happening. So first things first, a definition of autism. If you ever look into the topic, please don't look into the medical books and medical and diagnosis manuals and so on. The definition there is really, really bad, okay? Because it undermines the people. It is actually pathologizing who they are. Okay, nobody would like to be labeled as disabled because their brain works differently. So look into autism as, can I read it because it will be better? Autism influences how people experience and interact with the world. Autistic people are different from each other, but for the diagnosis, they must share differences from non-autistic neurotypical people in how they feel, think, and communicate. So that's the differences, okay? Thinking, behaving, and communicating. Doesn't mean that they are less, they are just different, okay? And when talking about autism, who comes to your mind? Shoot, if I say autistic people, who come to your mind? Sheldon. I thought Raymond would be the first. Sheldon is my second. Anyone else? How about people like Albert Einstein, Stephen Hopkins, many others, okay? I think that some of you in the room might have heard stories like Petr Třešňák's and the Děti úplňků story here in Czech Republic, so kids who need quite a lot of care and the way are behaving. Any of you in this room thinking of any woman as being autistic? Any lady in your mind? No, I thought so. Why is that? Because autism was underdiagnosed with women, because autism is being diagnosed on the behavioral traits that you show, and yes, girls and boys behave differently and show different behaviors. Thus, it was believed that girls who had the same traits and same behaviors as boys were labeled as crazy, witches, put into asylums, but boys were treated for autism. So yeah, the underdiagnosis of, and there are still psychiatrists here in Czech Republic who don't believe their clients, their ladies' clients, who tell them that they are autistic in the way that they are perceiving the world. And they don't believe them. Because the diagnosis methods are based on male behavior and not on female behavior. And yes, there are quite a few autistic ladies. Temple here is a really good author. I'll have some recommendations for her books later. She's great, but also I think that you know this girl, right? Everyone knows Greta. And she is quite famous for, and she is quite strong autistic voice. So when talking about autism, please don't look into medical diagnostic manual. Look into who are the real people, not the media images of autistic people, but the real people. Listen to their stories, read their stories, understand who they are. I would like to tackle a few myths that there are about autism. Talking about autism as a spectrum and neurodivergent as a spectrum sometimes lead people to believe that all of us are in a spectrum. Yes, all of our brains are different. Yes, we are not the same. But most of us in the room share similar ways of responding to things, and others don't. So people on the spectrum, they have really different ways of taking the reality in. Maybe they have different ways of thinking. I can't imagine thinking in pictures. I can't imagine thinking like really visually and seeing patterns everywhere. That must be really demanding for brain. I'm happy my brain works quite normally in that way. So if you are a manager and someone decides to come to you and tell you that they've been diagnosed and they're autistic, please, please never ever use this sentence to the person, because it shows that you actually diminish the things that the person is going through, and you actually, like saying, well, everyone has got some problems, so, let's just move on. Please don't do it, okay? It's really harmful to the people. Do all of them have saving skills? So like Raymond doing things that are very differently? No, not at all, okay? 10% of people with autism have got some saving skills. Maybe because you know quite a few number of savings with autism diagnosed as well, you might believe that's true, but it's not. So don't expect every single autist to be a genius, okay? But there are quite a few with very interesting skills. Another favorite cliché of mine, are all autists interested in trains, cars, and like Matěj here in metro? No, they are not, but it's quite common that technology and things like that are important for some of the autists because it's predictable how they work. It's predictable what's going to happen, and that's what is so nice and interesting. But remember, girls are usually not interested in trains, metros, and so on, so special interests for girls are much, much different. It can be anything from patchwork or gathering all the pictures that you can imagine of your favorite character, even the book character or a book. So, the special interests, they vary. So it's like between us in this room, we have very different ways that we are interested in. Sometimes I've heard that people believe that people on the spectrum do not feel empathy. It's bullshit. all of us, we all have feelings. We all feel compassion, we all feel sadness, we all feel joy. Maybe even you are not sure how to name the things that you are feeling at the moment. Maybe you don't know how to react to what the other person is showing you at the moment, what emotion you can read from the people. That happens even to you. So don't blame people who are on the spectrum that they can't read that either. But be sure that people on the spectrum are very good in empathy and feeling what you are feeling. Sometimes so much that with parents who are on the spectrum, when they become parents and their kids have emotions, they become overwhelmed by their emotion, by the kids' emotions. So they intake the emotions that you make. So be sure to understand that whenever you are speaking to a person, it's a person at the first time, okay? It's a human being, and we all feel, well, not all, most of us feel, feel feelings. And the last bit is the typical view of someone who is autistic, with like someone who is introverted, doesn't like any company of anyone, being asocial. Is that true? What do you think so far? No, it's not true. But it's true that autistic people prefer the company of other autistic people because they know how to interact to each other, because the interaction is so much easier for them. And the truth is also that you, if you were in the room with someone who is autistic, you would also prefer to be with someone who is not autistic. Okay, so it's called double empathy. It's easier for you to be with someone who shares similar ways of behavior, similar ways of being together. So those were the myths. And now I was promising you some tools and some tips and some things you can take away from here to your everyday team life. Here they are. And I've been talking about bug, and I really believe that we can change the bug. We can get rid of the bug in the system. So my first plea to you is, whenever you are enlarging your team, please hire for culture ed. Just quit the, I'm sorry for the words, crap, with hiring for culture fit. What culture fit gives you? It gives you only the same people thinking in the same way, behaving the same way as you are. Do you need that for innovation in your team? Or is it better to hire for culture ed, for someone who thinks differently, someone who can ask you the daunting questions like, why we are doing it this way? Why can't we do it some other way that might bring more results to us? But that's where innovation comes from, right? That's where these questions are the ones that make you think about what we are doing and why we are doing that. So please, when you are hiring, be sure to hire for culture ed to your team. That means hire for abilities, hire for strengths. Don't hire for the social minute talks that the person can have with you during the interviews. Don't judge the person on if he or she can keep an eye contact with you. It doesn't say anything about their abilities. If for their work they don't need to lead small talks, just don't look at for that in the hiring process, okay? Just hire for the abilities, for the strengths that you need for the team, and be sure to look for the culture at someone who can enlarge the ways that you're working in your team. If the person gets into your company, the first thing that you do is you have to onboard the people, right? Please be sure that your onboarding process is clear, predictable, and typically with autistic people gives them all the information they need, even the unwritten rules, even the things like, can I make coffee anytime? Do I have to wait for someone to do it? How long is my break? Can I work like Pomodoro time, 25 minutes, 5-minute break? Can I go out for the 5-minute break? Things that seem pretty like, yeah, whatever, I have never thought about that. These things can make people on the spectrum quite insecure. And especially if you are a manager, and if you have a new member of the team learning, for example, a new skill on your team, the thing that and the person submits the work to you and waits for your feedback. And if you postpone your feedback because you are too busy doing something else and, you know, one more day, please give more day, and so on, what you are doing? You are creating a big insecurity for the person. The person first starts thinking like, what did I do wrong? Did I submit it wrongly? Does the boss know? Is it so bad that he or she doesn't have time to review it? So please, whenever you are onboarding any member of your team, make sure that they know what the rules are. Make sure that you have time for quality feedback for their work. Because without that, they can't get better. Without that, they will be insecure and they will not be able to do their work properly. So please, make the onboarding first successful way for them to strive in your company. Communication, my topic. I think I'm quite good in communicating because I've been doing that for like 20 years. However, I've recently found out that my communication is still not explicit and clear enough. I have to cross out words like SAP from my letters. I have to cross out phrases like, if you have time. What do they actually really mean? If you take them literally, which is what most of the people on the spectrum do, what do they mean? As soon as possible. Well, it wasn't possible today. Shall I stop doing my work right now? Or shall I do it whenever I have time? These things that we take for granted, they are not helping basically anyone on the team. Okay, so anyone who is new to your team will need that. Also, how many times have you talked to your colleagues about their preferred ways of communication? If they prefer to hear things from you, if they prefer to read, for example, their work descriptions, read them, if they prefer reading in the context, or if they prefer reading the Tilidary's short summaries. How many times have you done that? Me? Never. I always say to my, said to my previous colleagues, I always told them, this is how we do it, just get used to it. That's not the way. Now I'm learning to do it differently, and trust me, it works much better. So talk to each other, ask questions, be curious, and make the rules for each other and to make the communication as you can. Talking about explicit communication, especially in meetings, rules are important. So if you have introverted or autistic people in the room, or maybe dyslexic people in the room who have troubles with reading things, it's always good to have agendas, meeting notes, and things like that in advance so that people can prepare for what they are going to hear, so they can take in what you are going to say, so they can later listen to you quite well. Be okay with them taking notes throughout the meetings, okay? Them taking notes doesn't mean that they are not listening to you. To some people, it helps. To some people, it helps to move when they are talking, because it makes them think. That's me, if you can. I think you guessed from what I'm doing at the moment. Also, whenever decisions are needed to be taken in the meetings, have clear rules in advance on how the decisions are going to make. And my favorite rule that I have over here, favorite thing that I've tipped for you to take. Who ever told you that a meeting has to last 60 minutes? Why can't meetings have like 20 minutes where you discuss the things, then you have 10, 15 minutes break where some people can like think about the things that you were talking about, and then the 10 minutes of decision making, coming back to the room. Isn't that easy and nice? Simplistic. How many of you would enjoy that? Like, I would, yes, I would, because I would be happy to happy to have some time to think about things that I've just heard in the meeting. And also facilitators, someone who helps direct the meeting in a way that everyone's voice is being heard, is something that all of you might use in your meetings, right? Not only if you are autistic and you need some predictability and some rules. Predictability, that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you have any things in, the, in your team, like feedback sessions, performance reviews, that's the English for it, performance reviews, things like that, all of these things can be done in a simple form, simple scenario, a way that everyone understands how it's being done and how it's being made. So take the time to, as you are doing with your code and documenting it, take the time to document all your implicit processes that you have in your company and have it somewhere so that anyone can reach it. Okay? I bet it will fasten your onboarding process in the company quite dramatically. And this is my favorite slide. And that is respecting each other, respecting the needs, and also believing the needs that the people have. If someone comes to you, and you're a manager or a colleague, someone comes to you and tells you, I can't concentrate and focus enough in the spot that I am sitting at because there's an air conditioning that's just in my way, or because there's a water cooler behind me and everyone is going there, stopping there, talking there, and I can't just, stop listening to them and I can't focus on my work. Then just don't, say, oh, it's okay, don't worry, it will be better. Find ways how this person can thrive in their work. The easiest thing that doesn't cost you a lot is to switch the place for the person, like, do the switch, or noise-canceling headphones, or, putting plant behind the person so at least he or she has got some sense of safe space. The ways of respecting each other, that's something that we should basically learn to each other, right? Learn from each other. So if there's someone coming to you with a specific need and you think it's too much to ask, imagine that it was your best friend asking for that help. Imagine it was your kid asking for that help. Is it still that unreasonable to ask for that thing? Only if you answer this question no, then just say no to the person, but I don't think it will. And the whole thing that I was talking about, it's very similar to the curb cut effect, meaning if you are designing streets and buildings and an environment for people on the wheelchair, you are in the same time designing the better space for anyone who has got kids and have their trolleys, anyone who is coming from their vacations with their luggage, anyone who loves to skate and just would be bothered by the gaps and by the stairs. So what I was trying to tell you is that if you design your teamwork, your processes in company, the way that you communicate with people on the autism spectrum in mind, then you are making your company better for anyone. And also open to the people on the spectrum. So open to the big talent pool that you are actually not looking into at the moment. So to sum it up, the things that are essential for people on the spectrum will be definitely useful for all of you in the company. And I've been talking about respect of the needs, about clear communications, and I hope that from what I was saying, you understand that your words matter. What you tell to your colleagues, especially those who take things literally, that really matters. So be sure what words you use, be sure how you talk to each other, be sure that you are being kind to each other, and whenever something that you don't like happens, don't start thinking that the other person did it from malice point of view because they wanted to hurt you. Just think about it differently. What can I do next time to prevent the situation? Was it something that I said, that I did, that the room created? Don't blame the people that you're actually talking to and talking with. So that's about it. It would be about it if it wasn't me, because I've promised some readings and some readabouts. So these are my 4 favorite books that I would recommend you anytime. The first 2 ones written by women, first 3 one written by women. The last one is men and a woman. I've got some texts over here, and if you want to have that, you can scan the code so we can have the whole presentation. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. And now it's time for us to talk, right?
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to share the presentation. Can I ask for the Slido, please, there? Wow, so many questions. And like, even from me, can I start with one question of myself? Sure. How did you come up with the idea? Well, you mentioned all the benefits, focusing on and including autistic people actually brings, but what is it in for you? Like, is it some kind of vocation, or can you be more specific on that? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm someone who needs purpose in my life, and I've been working with tech companies for the past 15 years. I've been working with managers, with people in the companies, looking into their communication, and there was something wrong and something rotten. And for me, this topic, I didn't come up with it. I was just called to the action. It was just a calling that came to me, and I just had to take it. Because the first moment I digged a bit more into the world that people on the spectrum are actually facing, I was pissed with what's happening to them. And the thing that gives me my purpose and energy is actually trying to get fairness into my life. So whenever I feel that something is not fair, is not just, it's my cause.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move on the questions. I'm going to read them for you. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So the first one is how to share condition like autism of the team member to the team. Should it be done at all?
It depends very much on the psychological safety that you have and that you feel. So if you are on the spectrum and you feel it will be good for you to share your diagnosis so that you can get more acceptance and more things that you need to have done, then yes, find someone who you can trust, someone who has got the powers, someone who you can talk to. And I hope there's going to be more and more companies where, for example, the bosses or team leads or managers are going to be open to people with the diagnosis. And the team, it's really a question of really your confidence within the team. It's something that no one ever can make you to do, okay? If you have a diagnosis, no one can ever make you share your medical information with the rest of the team. But sometimes it can help you. So if you are managers over here, please make sure that you create the psychological safety in your team. But that's like a big whole topic that we can discuss for a long time.
Definitely, thank you. So now next question, how does autism differ from neurodivergency? Is it different or just a specific category? It's also, I am non-neurotypical as well, so yeah.
Yeah, it's part of it. So neurodivergency is like a name for the different ways that brains of some people are working and functioning. And it has got like many categories, and autism is part of it. And the thing is that I didn't have time to share in my presentation that quite a lot of people with like one diagnosis, so for example autism, or hypersensitive people, or whatever we can mention, they also have some other neurodiverse traits. So it's quite often for people on the spectrum to be also ADHDers. So that's quite common. 65% of people have both.
Thank you. And the next question is about teamwork and communication. That is extremely important. So how does it differ in teams with non-neurotypical people, and what tools or techniques are used? Tips, please. Thank you for this question.
It's the same, basically. The only tip I have for you is to embrace yourself, to hear a lot of questions, answer them, and just don't take them as something that you can skip. So it's not the tools, it's not the things that you use. We also are using Slack, emails, and meetings for our communication. But what differs is The readiness, the mindset that you have, the readiness to answer questions, the readiness to accept the questions as valid questions, like any question being given is valid. On the other hand, it doesn't mean that you don't have any borders and you don't just say that, not borders, the limitations, you just boundaries, thank you, boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't build any boundaries with your teams, you do. And that's the thing that we are not doing that often. Setting up boundaries within the communication, how we should be working, and setting up, we are mostly interested in setting up our tools, but not our mindsets. So I think that over here, mindsets are more important than the tools.
And what about codification? I mean, like, write those things down, be clear on the rules.
Definitely. Yeah? Definitely. But that also works anytime. When I used to do internal communications in companies, the first thing we were doing is looking if the company has got intranet or one place of shared knowledge. If they didn't, it was the first thing to do. It's always the first thing to do. Write down, as you are writing for documentation for your code, you know, to understand what's happening. Okay.
Cool, thank you. Thank you for the question and for the answer here. And the last one, what we have here, how we could set up interview process so it will be comfortable for people on the spectrum. For example, take-home exercise, offline interviews and such. Thank you for the question.
There are many ways. There are quite nice books on the topic. I can give more information once we are outside, if you're interested. The first basic rule is explain very, very explicitly what's going to happen. The timelines, the things, even if you are sending out homework or things that to be done, just tell the people if you are expecting a perfect work, and if you are judging the people on the perfect work, or if you are expecting to see their thinking processes. Just explain what you are expecting to be happening. And also, for the interviews, the easiest thing ever, no one ever does, is don't be afraid to send out the questions that you're going to ask beforehand. It reduces stress for everyone, it's helpful, and just if the person asks if he or she can write down notes and can bring the notes with them, don't say no to that, please. Okay? Because if you are judging someone based on how nervous he or she can get from meeting someone new in the room, you're definitely not judging the abilities, but you're judging just, you know, the momentary thing. Also, for the recruitment processes, the very good tip that I have for you is like redoing the interview. So if you can feel that the person didn't do the great job and he or she tells you, the best thing to do is to say, okay, that was our first try. Would you like to come another time for the same interview, same thing, same process? Is it okay with you? And also, think that doesn't cost you anything, because this costs time, because you're doing the interview for the second time. Thing that doesn't cost you anything is to invite the person into your office, into the place where the interview is going to take place, sometimes before the interview takes place. Even getting familiar with the surroundings and environment can be very helpful. And also, if the person asks to, if he or she can have another person with him or her, someone who makes him or her confident, someone who helps with like making sure that the autistic person understands what you are actually asking, and or can ask you so that you are clear enough, then also it's a clear yes, not no to that requirement.
Thank you. We have last couple of seconds of official time, but we have a lot of time. This is the last question what we have in Slido, and I think it would be last question asked on stage to Ira as well. Then you can find in Ira during the networking. If an autistic person complains about the air conditioning, should I switch places? Sorry, should I switch places with them, even if it bothers me too? Am I expected to be the mature one?
No. The answer is no. You are both people, you are both human beings, you both need to have your needs respected. So what you should be doing is try to find some other way. So not switching places, but trying to find someone who is not bothered by the air conditioning, someone, or talk to the other people in the office. If everyone is like not happy with the air conditioning and its flow, you can just turn it off, or you can make the adjustment for all of you. Okay? And that's exactly what I talked about. Boundaries, setting up boundaries. You are not expected to you know, sacrifice yourself as much as you are not expected to believe that the autistic person is making things up to bother you, because they are not. They're just living the world differently and sensing it differently than you are.
Well, thank you very much. Please, one more round of applause for Ir.
Thank you. Thank you.